I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network. Two major developments to report on in Special Counsel Jack Smith's ongoing criminal investigation into Donald Trump, and specifically as it relates to the criminal investigation of Donald Trump's theft of thousands of government records, including top secret, sensitive, compartmented information, which he hid and concealed at Mar-a-Lago. Eventually, a search warrant executed at Mar-a-Lago on August 8th found thousands of documents being hidden there, and that investigation also is into Donald Trump's obstruction of justice relating to the Department of Justice's ongoing criminal investigation of Donald Trump's theft of said records. So this comes from a New York Times report, and the report is called Justice Department Intensifying Efforts to Determine if Trump Hid Documents. Prosecutors investigating the former president's handling of classified material have issued a wave of new subpoenas and obtained the confidential cooperation of a witness who worked at Mar-a-Lago. But buried in this article, I think, is the most important major development, and it's the following. Quote, one of the previously unreported subpoenas to the Trump Organization sought records pertaining to Mr. Trump's dealing with a Saudi-backed professional golf venture known as Live Golf, which is holding tournaments at some of Mr. Trump's golf resorts. So why is that relevant to Special Counsel Jack Smith's ongoing criminal investigation into Donald Trump's theft of classified records and sensitive compartmented information? I think the answer is obvious. That's perhaps a rhetorical question, but if it isn't, let me give you some data points. Data point number one, after Jared Kushner left the White House, the same Saudi-backed sovereign wealth fund paid Jared Kushner $2 billion with a B. $2 billion for Jared Kushner to manage their money, even though Jared Kushner has no experience as a private wealth manager. So Kushner received all that money from this foreign sovereign wealth fund, the Saudi-backed foreign sovereign wealth fund. So that's data point number one. Data point number two, we previously reported that Special Counsel Jack Smith has been looking into Donald Trump showing potential VIPs classified maps at Mar-a-Lago. Very, very, very highly classified maps that Donald Trump was apparently keeping in his office, that he may be showing those to donors, documents that he stole that didn't belong to him, that belonged to the government. And data point number three is at these live tournaments that have been hosted at these Trump properties, Donald Trump would just spread and spew lots of horrific anti-American disinformation, including stating that people don't really know what happened in 9/11 and just spreading 9/11 conspiracy theories. Here, let me just show you this clip of Donald Trump when the Live Golf tournament was held at one of Donald Trump's golf courses, when he was asked a question about supporting this Saudi Arabian-led golf tournament. Here, play this clip.
Closely associated with the city of New York. Yeah. You, of all people, understand the passion surrounding 9/11. What do you say to those family members who protested earlier this week and will be doing so again on Friday?
Well, nobody's gotten to the bottom of 9/11, unfortunately, and they should have, as to the maniacs that did that horrible thing to our city, to our country, to the world. So nobody's really been there, but I can tell you that there are a lot of really great people that are out here today, and we're going to have a lot of fun, and we're going to celebrate, and money's going to charity. A lot of money's going to charity. And you have really the best players in the world, many of the best players in the world, and soon you'll probably have all of them.
So I think a major issue, if you add those data points, is Donald Trump just wasn't taking these documents because he was trying to keep them as like trophies, or he wanted to just put them on the wall and mementos. No, we know that Donald Trump would use things, he always has used things transactionally to get money. Heck, he wrote a book that he didn't even write. It was called Letters to Trump. It's a collection of letters that people sent to him, including letters that he received from genocidal maniacs like Kim Jong-un and Vladimir Putin. That's what's featured in this book. That's what he is profiting off of. So to believe that Donald Trump doesn't have a profit motive relating to his theft of government records would be very naive. And also, Donald Trump has cited, and incorrectly, of course, some claim in his mind that Richard Nixon was paid tens of millions of dollars to return documents to the government. And so, despite the fact that laws were literally passed because Nixon engaged in all this unlawful conduct, so clearly Donald Trump, based on his past practices, one could at least infer would be using the documents he stole transactionally. So the fact that Special Counsel Jack Smith is very focused on the fact that this relationship between Trump and Liv Golf in the context of classified documents, I think is very important for the reasons that I just stated. Also, we know that Special Counsel Jack Smith is now getting confidential cooperation of a witness who worked at Mar-a-Lago. And one of the things that specifically Jack Smith is focusing on is potential tampering with evidence, tampering with surveillance footage, tampering, concealing evidence, specifically after the Department of Justice sent a subpoena to Donald Trump, the Trump Organization, and those running Mar-a-Lago on or around May of 2022. And just so you remember the brief timeline, Trump leaves the office in January 2021. National Archives realize that he stole all of these records. They start saying, give it back, give it back. For a full year, Donald Trump refuses to give it back. When Donald Trump's caught and he realizes they know that he's got these records, he turns over 15 boxes in January of 2022. He kind of hides the classified records interspersed within these newspaper clippings. The National Archives gets these documents, goes, oh my gosh, there's sensitive compartmented information here. This is some really highly classified stuff, the most classified stuff that exists. They turn it over to the Department of Justice. The Department of Justice asks for Donald Trump's cooperation. He refuses. He claims all the documents are turned over. Finally, the Department of Justice in May issues a subpoena through one of the grand juries that are impaneled in Washington, D.C. to get the classified documents back. On June 3rd of 2022, Donald Trump has his lawyers, Christina Bobb and Evan Corcoran, meet with the top counterintelligence officials of the DOJ and FBI. They present a red-weld folder with about 30 plus classified documents. They sign a declaration under penalty of perjury stating that all of the documents that remain are in there, that there are no other documents, there are no other classified documents or sensitive compartmented information. That is a complete lie. On August 8th of 2022, the Department of Justice executes a search warrant and they find thousands of government records still being hidden at Mar-a-Lago, including top secret sensitive compartmented information, hundreds of those, as well as tons of folders with classified markings where the contents are empty. So why is that timeline important? Well, we know now from this new reporting by the New York Times that a confidential witness, that this cooperation is being provided by someone who worked at Mar-a-Lago to provide information about what's going on the inside of Mar-a-Lago. Also, Special Counsel Jack Smith's focused on, after the DOJ issued the subpoena in May of 2022, what's going on with all these classified records? Is Donald Trump moving things? Some surveillance footage was turned over to the Department of Justice in response to the subpoena as well. That's how they found one of the Trump employees by the name of Walt Nauta, who was moving boxes from the storage unit to other locations, classified records. That contradicted Walt Nauta's previous statements made to the FBI and the Department of Justice. So Walt Nauta had to then change his testimony after he was caught lying, which, by the way, is a crime if proven to the FBI and to the Department of Justice. He had to explain that he was moving this and had to then become cooperative after being caught. But there is some surveillance footage that appears to be missing. There are portions of the surveillance footage that's cut off. Is that a mere technology glitch? Likely not. Or was there some tampering done with that? And this line of inquiry also comes at a time where Matthew Calamari Sr., And Matthew Calamari Jr. Went before the grand jury in Washington, D.C. Calamari Sr. Is the COO of the Trump organization, but largely responsible for security. He got his son, Matthew Calamari Jr., a job as one of the heads of security at the Trump organization, responsible for overseeing the various surveillance footages across Trump property. So they went before the grand jury, but the focus here by the Special Counsel Jack Smith in this new report is not just on what Calamari Sr. and Jr. knows, but also what numerous other employees at Mar-a-Lago said was happening right after the subpoena issued and what was taking place there. How does the security camera system work? Was there intentional deletion or spoliation, and what was taking place there? And this confidential cooperation seems to be very, very, very important in Special Counsel Jack Smith's ongoing criminal investigation. So two really big developments there that we can report on now. And of course, a lot of this information, I think, is coming from the fact that the former presiding chief judge of the federal courthouse in Washington, D.C., Judge Beryl Howell, had made that ruling that the crime fraud exception applied based on Donald Trump's relationship with his lawyer, Evan Corcoran, that they were engaged in criminal conduct. Corcoran either was doing it intentionally or unwittingly. He was being used by Donald Trump, but nonetheless, that invokes the crime fraud exception. And Judge Beryl Howell said that they may have been engaged, there was a finding made that they were engaged in obstruction of justice enough for the crime fraud exception to apply. So they got Corcoran's notes, the DOJ did. They got potential audio recordings and calendar entries, and were able to get information about his communications with Donald Trump right around that May 22 period when the subpoena issued and also thereafter. And so I think now the Department of Justice Special Counsel Jack Smith are just dotting I's and crossing T's there. So major developments, and I think focus on, though, go back to some of the other episodes we've done here on the MeidasTouch network, but we said he definitely uses these things transactionally, one can infer, based on his course of dealing. And now knowing that there's a focus on his relationship with the LIV Golf Tournament and the Saudi Sovereign Wealth Fund, which is giving Kushner $2 billion, folks, that is very big news. And as we learn more, we will, of course, keep you posted here on the MeidasTouch Network. Thank you so much for watching. Hit subscribe. We're on our way to 1.5 million subscribers thanks to your incredible support. Check us out at patreon.com/MeidasTouch. patreon.com/MeidasTouch, and also wherever you get podcasts, just search for the MeidasTouch podcast and hit subscribe. Now hit subscribe on YouTube. It is free. Have a great day.
Hey Meidas Mighty, love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram at MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.